Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
Minute 76 of Groundhog Day is just lyrics, right? There's no dialogue. Yeah, lyrics from two songs. And Phil starting his road to being a better Phil. I did forget to point something out in the previous scene, and I hate that. So I'm going to point it out now because we can still see it. But go back and look at the version in the previous scene. When we get the scroll, we get the cut after Rita's decided to stay, and before they show them in the bed. We get a cut to the window, the frozen window. Here you can see him again as Phil gets out of the bed. There are two of them that have this same pattern. And remember, this is a set, so this is a designed pattern of frost. They look like eyes. But especially last night, like 2-3 minutes ago, whenever that was, when we had that shot of the window, it looked like the outside was watching. The universe has eyes on Phil. And we're getting the two songs that I've been saying in this season 3 of this show. This movies by minutes format, where we break it down and try to find new things we haven't noticed before. This eye thing, I think I may have seen the visual sort of before, but I never really connected it in the same way to the lyrics. I talked about I've Got You, Babe, feeling like the sort of stalkery, like not supportive I got you, babe, but I got you, babe. It's like I've grabbed a hold of you and I'm holding on. But it's only in this season 3 that I've talked about the Pennsylvania polka as being essentially a metaphor for the time loop itself. I'd also, even though I hate the IMDb Goofs page, there is a legitimate goof in this minute that I have to point out. That I don't know if I noticed because I was too busy in the past arguing against similar goofs from other people. We'll get to that when we get to that. Starting with the end of last minute, we had the cut. We're on the 29th iteration of February 2nd that we have seen in the film. That is a minimum count. There's not that many left. The alarm clock. 6 o'clock. Click. Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. The idea of romance is a nice visual, but the chorus is repetitive and can be misinterpreted. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. The DJs come in. I guess we got a little dialogue technically, but it's the DJs, it's the radio, it's the stuff we've already heard. Okay, campers, rise and shine. And don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today. It's cold out there every day. What is this? Miami Beach? Not hardly. Meanwhile, while they're talking, doing their spiel, Phil gets out of the bed. It's not the excited thing he had on day 4 where he jumped out of bed. Yes! It's not that. But it's also not the dreary, depressed thing that we've seen or that we could imagine in recent days. Phil is happy to be alive, happy to be awake, happy to go about his day. He is feeling better. And this is difficult, to be fair, because there is a sort of chemical element to depression and anxiety and a lot of mental illness, mental struggle, stress things, stress responses in the body. Stuff that I think the loop is not able to fix. Like however Phil felt, that's hard to say. However Phil felt last night affects how he wakes up. And I don't mean last night when he was with Rita in the bed. I mean last night, February 1st. I've seen people comment on I've deleted scenes from this on YouTube and people comment a lot. And someone was like, oh, imagine if he had gone out drinking the night before and he wakes up hungover. And I'm like, that wouldn't be fun as a film. We don't want the person in the time loop to wake up hungover and miserable. We want their life to be a little bit miserable, yes, because that's part of the point. The whole point to a Connors loop is you need to make yourself be a better person. Sometimes you also have to solve something specific. One of the reasons I really like Happy Death Day, because it's arguably a Connors loop and a sci-fi loop, because she is solving her murder, and only then does the loop stop. But she is only able to solve her murder by actually paying attention to the people around her and being a better person.
By the way, about the time this episode is coming out, or maybe like a week or two ago, the latest episode guest spot I did on It's Time to Rewind will have come out, talking about Happy Death Day. Particularly the end of that movie, but the whole movie too. So, go give it a listen. Bubba Wheat's show is pretty good. He talks about a lot of time loop things, including he has covered Groundhog Day, and I've been on his show several times. And will most likely be on it again and again, and again, and again.
So Phil gets up, he's gonna get ready, he's happy to be there. Cut to, I said exterior Gobbler's Knob in my notes in the transcript here, but technically we get the corner before Gobbler's Knob. So I should have said Town Square. This is where the goof comes. We have a timing issue. I pointed out how the time loop on day 3, the timing problem that is a goof on IMDb, is wrong, because by running part of the way there, he could have tired himself out so that the other half was slower than it had been, and it averages out to the same as if he walked. But also, he takes an hour and 20 minutes to get there for some reason. Why does he ever take that long? I don't know. Where does he stop? Where does he go? What takes an hour and 20 minutes? He gets up at 6. But 6 does look better on the clock than 6:30, 6:45. The double digits is nice, and the zeros make an almost infinity thing. Imagine if it was 8 a.m. That'd be too late to do the prognostication, so it wouldn't work in this movie. But if 8 a.m. is like infinity up, infinity sideways. What's his name? Kyle Sweeney. Hello, Kyle, if you're listening to the show. Glad to have met you back in 2014 in Woodstock. Kyle was a big fan of this movie, had watched it many times. I got the impression that it had helped him deal with some, maybe depression or some other stresses in his life. But he was handing out pins where it was essentially the alarm clock, but the zeros were an infinity symbol. I still have that pin. Wait, I still have that pin, right? Wait, where's that pin? Is it pinned to it might be pinned to my folder. I have a folder of the folder I took to Woodstock. It's still the same thing it was then, where it has printouts of the schedule, printouts of the maps, because, internet was less in my life in 2014. I didn't have a smartphone yet, for example. I wasn't going to be tracking my maps and stuff there. I wouldn't have had the schedule on my phone. Now I'd have the schedule on my calendar. I wouldn't print it out. I might print some maps or at least save them on my phone, so they're easy to get to. But I had a folder of stuff, and that folder's still there. It has... Am I really forgetting his name again? The location manager. I have his business card in there from then, and I'm pretty sure that's where Kyle's pin is. I think it's actually pinned to the folder itself.
While editing, of course, I had to find that folder and double check, and yes, the pin is still there.
But it's infinity. It's zeros and infinity. It's nothing and everything all at once. For whatever reason, it takes him an hour and 20 minutes to get to the square. The problem we have in this minute is that somehow he manages to be at the corner with the old man at essentially the same time as usual, but he doesn't get interrupted by Ned that we see. Ned's not there. But Phil Sign Girl is. And I think the other crowd, definitely the car is the same one as usual. Phil Sign Girl is there, without her friend, of course, because once her friend disappears, she doesn't come back. Ned should be interrupting Phil as he comes around this corner. When Phil stops at the old man and starts to give the old man some money and then decides to just hand him his wad of cash, the whole thing, that is enough time that Ned should be interrupting. Or maybe Phil just had luck, and by turning to face the old man, Ned didn't see enough of Phil's profile to recognize him. I don't know. Then Phil keeps walking west after giving the money to the old man, and we cut to Phil walking into Gobbler's Knob with the little tray with coffees and pastries, which if we take that as the same day as when he just gave the money to the old man, he got those from the Tip Top. How did he get into the Tip Top at this time of morning and get coffees and pastries in less time than it takes him to have the conversation with Ned? That's not possible. Which means... and I hate this, I hate it, I hate bringing it up, but I have to say it because I'm examining the film in a different way this time. Without resources, nothing but the transcript and watching the minute. So it's just what's on screen, that's what I gotta tell you about. This does suggest to me that the day we just saw him give the wad of money to the old man is not the same day that he brings pastries to Gobbler's Knob. I hate that I just said that, but it has to be true. Otherwise, Ned would have interrupted, and Phil would be late because he was at Old Man's Corner at the same time as usual. Can I come up with a headcanon reason that makes it okay? Yes, but it's stupid. It'd be something like after Phil, normally when he crosses the street, stepping in the ice and all that, getting away from Ned, it always cuts to him being already in the square, walking toward the crowd. We never see a continuous shot of him crossing the street and going in. Because, different camera setups. They're not using a handheld camera where they can just follow him that whole walk. Which it'd be cool if they did. One of my favorite sequences in the time loop movie, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, is a moment where I think it's a continuous take, where they go into the restaurant and grab some food and talk to people, and they go into the record store and switch some records from person to person and switch out what someone's buying with something else. Like, they're controlling what other people are doing, but because they know so much about the situation. And I think it's done in one take, and it is fantastic. It's choreographed perfectly, but also it demonstrates how they are so casual with their knowledge of the time loop that they can just do all this stuff. If this was filmed nowadays, I think we'd get at least one continuous shot of him getting from Old Man Corner, at least, to talking to Ned, to stepping in the water, to walking across the street, entering Gobbler's Knob, and we wouldn't get a cut. But generally we get multiple cuts. They didn't want to film Bill Murray walking through the crowd, just into the edge of the crowd and then coming out of the other edge of the crowd. The music's playing, of course. Same timing as usual. Strike up the music. The band has begun. The Pennsylvania Polka. Or maybe the universe is keeping Punxsutawney on Phil's schedule. Ned's only there when Phil needs Ned to be there. Pennsylvania Polka starts playing when Phil shows up. The prognostication waits until Phil is present. I don't think that's true, but if you need some stupid headcanon, that would be it. Or, as I was saying about him crossing the street, we never get that continuous shot. It would be that for whatever reason, maybe he has to take a smoke break, is that he always stops before he enters the square. And then he could also stop now, and the timing could even itself out. But I think it's really just a goof, is that he has this tray way too fast. They should have had him come around the corner carrying it. That would have been better. So strike up the music. The band has begun. The Pennsylvania Polka. Pick out your partner and join in the fun. The Pennsylvania Polka. Who has Phil picked? He tried to pick Nancy. He tried to pick Rita. Arguably, he has picked Rita again now. But I think, really, philosophically, thematically, Phil has picked Phil. And he and the time loop are enjoying their time together now. The Pennsylvania Polka. It started in Scranton. It's now... And the minute ends. Of course, it's going to say number 1 because it always says number 1 because that's the lyrics. Also in this minute, I will point out the bunch of goober dancers up on the gazebo. Because what the hell is this dance they're doing? It's a mess. There's some bad dancing in this film. There's also some really bad hair in this film. Because Woodstock, Illinois was basically still in the 80s in 92 when they're filming this. So there's a lot of bad 80s hair, or big 80s hair. That's all I got for minute 76 of Groundhog Day. Come back next time for some more as, well, Phil talks to Larry. Phil starts to be a better person. And I think he's already trying. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what he needs to do, but he is trying. He gave all his money to the old man. Is that enough? No, but Phil doesn't know that yet. He's bringing coffee and pastries for Rita and Larry. Is that enough? No, but Phil doesn't know that yet. Baby steps. To quote another Bill Murray movie, baby steps.
Baby steps? It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself, one day at a time. One tiny step at a time.
That's my assignment for you today, is baby steps. Go take some step towards something you want. In a good way. Okay? But if you're listening to the show, you're probably not a horrible asshole who is planning to just be cruel to everyone once you're in a time loop or once you're in, life. So, be good people. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves.
Knew you were going to say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?